Hey everybody, welcome to Nature Normal. Today I got 3 frames off my beehive. With everything that's been going on lately, I've been looking around and I haven't been doing much at home. I haven't been doing much anywhere else. I'm sure as anybody else has been. It's been kind of depressing lately, and I walked out. I was checking on my cucumbers out by my beehive, and I noticed where my bees were, they were starting to build comb on the outside of the beehive. So I thought, well, they're obviously full, so I'm going to take a couple, add another box. I only harvest absolutely what I need or what I want to get, and maybe sell a couple frames worth of honey. So today I'm going to show you how I do that, because I don't have a spinner, and I'm assuming that a lot of you don't have a spinner as well. And if you have a beehive and you don't have a spinner, there's a couple easy ways to do things as long as you got the time. Here we go. We got the frames, and I chose these frames because they were the weakest looking frames that were in the hive. This first one was just pure skinny, and it had a little, I don't know if you can see that in the back there, but there's a little bit of give. There's our smoker and our 2 bowls, and I have a metal strainer in the laundry room. Alright, now we're set up in the kitchen, or in the laundry room, and I got my sink sanitized, and I have, looks like a chip came off of my frame there. These frames are super heavy when they're full. I did find that if you have a couple of bees left over, drain stuff there. If you have a couple of bees left over, if you get a damp cloth or a damp paper towel, you can lay it over them and then kind of use that as like a scoop bag and like a satchel bag, and you're able to take them outside, so you don't have to kill your workers to get the honey. And basically what we're going to do is we are going to carve the comb off of the frames into our stainless steel bowl and our little plastic Tupperware bowl here after I get that piece of grass out. One of the things I forgot to tell you is I got my little metal strainer there, which catches the majority of the product, or the wax, and they are just probably a 1/16 of an inch. And then I like to use a regular just kitchen spatula to scrape it off, because I don't like to have to use all that fancy stuff, and if I use metal, I notice that it scratches the frame, the insert on the frame of the hive. So by using this, you avoid all that. Okay, so now I got everything got off of there into there. Now what you'll notice is you'll see some uncapped wax right here. I always find it best to make sure that all the uncapped wax you leave untouched. The more you keep it untouched, the faster it's going to get rebuilt. And it also gives something for the bees to come around. Now I got a bunch of beans out by my chicken coop that I want to get more pollination. I want to get better pollination in those beans. What I'll do is I'll take this frame and I'll go over there and I'll set it next to my beans. Now this is just something I do. I've noticed that it's helped with my I have annihilator beans out in the garden, and that's what I used it on the first time. And I noticed that once I did that, I got a really good yield afterwards. So kind of like a holistic approach here, with the idea that if the honeybee's over there and it sees the honey while it's pollinating, then it'll bring more bees over to get the honey while the pollinators will still pollinate. And one other thing that you do, if you do this way, you will have a lot of honey left over. Now, what I do with this, I go out by the hive and I set these frames by the hive for a day. And then the very next day, I'll put those frames back into the hive. Because by the end of that day, if it's a nice day out and it's not raining, these bees will have the honey off of here and back into the other frames. Alright, now I have everything set up, and I have my my silver bowl full with the wax and the honey, and that honey is also from the first 2 frames. And then I have the 3rd frame here, and then the wax. Now what I do is once it drains through this on the 1st frame, I transition the front side of that frame into this strainer. And what that allows it to do is when it sets overnight, it'll catch all that honey, and that honey is probably a good pound worth of honey. Alright, so something I've been trying new this year is it's called Host Defense Mushroom My Community Extract, and it's by Paul Stamets from Host Defense. I'll say it's the 2 hives that I've used this on. Typically I use Apivar or Apivar, however you say it, and they're little strips. And I find personally that the Apivar or Apivar, however you want to say it, it kind of gives the honey a little bit of a different flavor, and the bees don't seem to be as strong. They're not as resistant to different things, but they do live, but they're just not as resistant and not as big of producers. Like this would have been 5 frames instead of 3. So I've been using this year on 2 of my hives, and I've not treated for varroa mite with any acids, any Apivar, no strips, nothing. And after I checked my varroa mat the first time, I was amazed because there was a bunch of dead ones. It cost about the same. So here's the progress so far, and I realized I wanted to touch base on one thing. I've sterilized the bowl. I've sterilized everything.